The costs associated with skiing can add up, so if there's ever a good opportunity to buy quality gear secondhand and save some money, then I will take it. But the important thing to note is how to know what is or isn't a good opportunity. Because when it comes to skiing, some things you're better off buying brand new. And in my years of experience skiing and testing different brands, I've learned my own preferences about which items those are, the things that should be bought brand new, and the things that you could search for in a secondhand store or on a website or a resale platform so that you could score some big savings. So, the good news is that you can also get lucky and find brand new ski apparel and gear and accessories on resale platforms too. Because the reality is sometimes people buy the expensive gear and the expensive clothes, and then they decide that skiing is not for them. And after only one or two uses, they will put it up for sale. And also, a lot of retailers will liquidate old stock on resale websites. So you can find older models of things that are new and in perfect condition. And that way you can also find some big savings. So in this video, I will go over the things that you can totally shop for secondhand or used, and then all the things for skiing that I think should be bought brand new, whether it's full price or hopefully on sale or at some sort of a discount. So first are skis. The secondhand market is full of skis that have been barely used and are in great condition. And year to year, the models of new skis don't change that drastically. Skis are built to last, and they're designed for extreme elements and for the stress and the wear and tear that comes from sliding down a mountain repeatedly over the course of years. So you certainly don't have to buy brand new skis. And especially if you buy skis that are pre-loved or secondhand, you don't have to be so precious with them or worried if they get scratched or dinged up, because that is inevitable. So I actually found these skis a few years ago on a sale rack, literally on the side of the road at a rental shop that I would drive by on my way to Grand Montet in Chamonix. And they were in decent condition. I imagine they were an old rental ski or a demo ski at some point. You could tell that a lot of fun was had on them, but the price was great. And since I bought these skis, I've skied over 500,000 vertical feet on them. So it feels nice that I've been able to extend their life and keep taking care of them and keep having epic days on them. And it's hard to pick a favorite. I guess it just depends on the conditions of the day, but there are a lot of days when I say that these are my favorite. And both of these I really love, and they were older models that I was able to find brand new. So there are many ways to get creative and save. So all of that to say that skis are definitely something you can buy secondhand. And of course, since they will sometimes already be mounted with bindings, that's also another opportunity to save. But just be sure that if you buy secondhand, to take them to a ski shop to be serviced and checked out, and for the bindings to be adjusted by a professional before you ski on them. So something else that you could definitely buy secondhand are ski poles. I think you're more likely to find them in physical resale stores or on platforms like Craigslist where you can pick them up in person, as opposed to finding them online on a resale website, because I guess they're a little awkward to ship and maybe also expensive to ship. But as long as you have the right size for your stance, then secondhand ski poles are great and can certainly be much less expensive than brand new ones. And then for ski jackets and pants, you can definitely find great options on secondhand platforms. And honestly, maybe too many options. There is so much to sift through, especially when you're shopping online. And my advice is, if you can, to look for ski wear that is in very good or in like new condition. And if you're looking for something practical, I think it's best to stay away from vintage ski wear. Because sometimes if something is really old, you don't know how well it was stored over the years, and the materials could be really degraded. For example, the waterproofing could be compromised, or the insulation or any elastic could have been turned to dust inside the fabric, or the zippers could be broken, or there could be holes in the pockets. I've made these mistakes and learned the hard way so that you don't have to waste your time or your money. But I also say this because these little annoyances can be distracting while you're skiing, and they can be avoided if you can find secondhand ski wear that's relatively newer or still in great condition. So next I'll go over the ski gear that I think should be bought brand new. Some of this advice is logical, some of it is technical, and some of my advice is really just a personal preference because I'm a germaphobe and I have sensitive skin, and it's just how I personally shop. So, first are ski boots. I think boots should be bought brand new. In my early days of skiing and renting ski gear, I was definitely handed boots that were not very fresh on a number of occasions, and I think it just traumatized me. So I think if you're shopping for your own ski boots, then it's best to just start new and fresh. Even if you come across a good looking pair of boots on a resale market website, you never know if they've been worn with dirty or sweaty socks, or if they weren't stored properly or well taken care of. I know that the fit of ski boots is really important for a lot of people because if your boots are uncomfortable, it can ruin your ski day or your ski trip. So I hear of a lot of people doing the whole boot fitting process in store with a specialist. So I personally didn't do all that. I just remembered during my days of renting when I was just starting that anytime I rented boots that were Salomon, I thought they were comfortable. So I wrote down what my size was specifically for Salomon because the sizing isn't necessarily consistent between brands. And since I knew my size, I found a brand new pair of Salomon boots online during a summer sale, so the price was great. And out of the box, they were super comfortable, and they still are. So, the next piece of gear I would recommend buying new is your ski helmet for two reasons. The first is because it's something worn so close to your face, so I think it should be clean. And the second reason, which is much more important, is because if you buy a secondhand helmet, you don't know if the integrity has been compromised in any way. I've heard that ski helmets are meant to be replaced at least every 5 years, and that it should be replaced immediately if it has sustained any sort of impact. So if you find a secondhand helmet, even if it looks new, you don't know if it's been dropped or compromised. And when it comes to safety, it's just better to be protected by a helmet that was handled carefully and purchased new. You also want to make sure that it fits well and isn't too big, so it helps to be able to try on your helmet in person. And while you're trying on your helmet, you can also try on goggles to find one that fit your face and your helmet well. I generally think ski goggles should be bought brand new, also just because they literally touch your face, and I just think it's cleaner. But when it comes to goggles, I always recommend choosing a pair that have photochromic lenses or interchangeable lenses so that you can have something that works in a variety of lighting conditions while you're skiing. So next are ski gloves. I also like to buy my gloves new because leather or Gore-Tex gloves are usually not washable or easy to wash. And I know that temperatures can change while I'm on the mountain, so my hands will sweat if my gloves become too warm. And because of that, I always wear glove liners, which can be washed. So if I'm buying ski gloves, I would definitely opt for brand new ones because I personally don't want gloves that someone else was sweating in or used to wipe their nose. You never know. And then lastly are base layers. I know they can be pricey, so it's tempting to search for name brand base layers on resale platforms. But I think they are about as personal as underwear, so I personally think brand new is better. And if you find them on sale, or if you make an investment in a high quality set of base layers, then they can last you for years. I have a set from Smartwool that I've worn so much, and they're still perfect even 4 or I guess now 5 years later. I can link my review of this base layer set that I love in the description below, along with a guide of all the gear and layers and accessories that I use for skiing. So you can check that out if you're interested, and I hope that this was helpful. If you're shopping for ski gear, then hopefully my tips have been good guidance for what types of things you can find secondhand and what types of things you should buy brand new. I'm also going to be making a video about what gear can be unisex, because that's also a clever way to find better prices on resale platforms. For example, if you're a woman, depending on what it is, you can filter for things that are labeled for a man, when really it is unisex, or it doesn't matter. Like some of these, for example, are men's skis, or they were labeled as men's skis. So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned so you don't miss that video. And if you have any questions about something I've mentioned here, then definitely leave me a comment below. I'm always happy to connect and always happy to talk about skiing. And feel free to check out my other videos. My channel is really about more than just skiing. It's about learning new things in general and about prioritizing your hobbies and about knowing that it's never too late to try something new. So if that sounds like you, then don't forget to subscribe and I will see you next time.